Alright, what's up guys? So I think there's too many game devs that are not finishing their game. I think I became pretty good at it. So here are my advice for the people out there. My first commercial project sold over 2,000 copies and I'm approaching releasing my second commercial game in early 2025. So I think I'm okay at it, so hopefully these tips will help you guys out. Alright, my first advice is proper scoping and deadlines. Be realistic and ask yourself if you truly have the time and resources to make this game. If you are new and it will take you like 3+ years, it's too high. At most, people should take about 1 to 3 years to finish their game if you want to be a professional. Anything past that and you're relying on making a hit game, and that is extremely difficult. Every year you take to make this game, you have to double your sales just to make up for your time for it. So learn how to make a game in 2 years or so. If you do want to make that 3+ year project, I strongly recommend learning how to work on multiple projects. So if you have a 3+ year project, you should also be working on a game that's like 1 or 2 years to make as well. If you can release a new game every 1 to 2 years, you're releasing like a professional. This was the standard back in the day. AAA does not do this anymore, but we are lean, mean indie machines. You should know how to ship games much quicker because you don't need to have AAA standard or overhead. If you look at some of the games that came out like during like the Super Nintendo era or like the PS1 or PS2 era, a lot of those game companies release a game every like 1-2 years. Maybe not the publisher themselves, but the development team does usually take about that time. Alright, my second advice is to rewire your brain. If you want to be a professional, you have to act like one. You need a strong sense of self to say that you will make this game no matter what. Being tenacious in a healthy way will go a long way. It's very easy to fall off if you let life do it. That's why you need a strong sense of self to actually finish it. Stop calling yourself an aspiring game developer and just be one already. You're a game developer, you're gonna ship on this day. Start talking to yourself like you are already a professional. Alright, my third advice. Invest, invest, invest. If you want to be a solo developer, that's fine. But if you want to make an amazing game in a reasonable amount of time, start learning investment. Find people who will help you with your game. But what if you don't have any money? Pick up a part-time job. If you're working a day job and then use that money for your game, you are technically working on your game. You're just using money to work on the game instead. This is why I'm against the idea of quitting your job to make indie games. It depends on the person, obviously, but if you're making money on your day job and you use that money to work on your game, you are working on your game. In return, you help pay these starving artists out in the world. There are a lot of artists that want to make games. You're also one of them. But if you're able to work a part-time job and help pay for them, then you're helping people out there. And in return, help pay these starving artists out in the world. There's a lot of them, all right? And guess what? You're also one too. Being able to help people out there in need, and in return, you get a better product at the end of the day, that makes a game with higher value. All right, but what if you're gonna lose money? Well, that's just business for you. Every game development team have to deal with this. Learn from your mistakes and make smarter choices. And guess what? If you're able to make smart financial decisions in your business, you're actually going to make a better game because of it too. All right, my fourth advice, make a schedule. I personally work about 25 hours a week on my game. This is dependent on your commitments and your, day job and all that stuff. But right now, I personally work 3 days a week, 8 hours a day. If you can't do that, that's totally fine. I used to work every day of the week for 4 hours. Notice that both of these equal about 25 to 28 hours range. I know that that's about my threshold and how much I can work on my project in a week before I burn out. So that's why I kept it consistent and I tracked it. And 25 to 28 hours, that's a pretty solid part-time job hours. And I treat it as such because I am a professional. The goal is to be consistent. How consistent do you want to be is up to you. But this is extremely important. If you are like going on vacation or whatever, it's much harder to get back on your project. If you are new, you need to build the muscle memory to keep working on your project even if you don't want to. Because some days You're gonna want to work on your project and other days you don't. But when you have the muscle memory to just keep working on it and be consistent, you're gonna get this game done eventually. Realize that the more you stay away from your project, the harder it is to get back into it. But the more consistent you are, the less resistance you will have working on it. So stay consistent. All right, my fifth advice, learn to compromise. As much as you want to make that dream project, it's important to know how to make compromises. A lot of my favorite games have some jank on the side. That's fine. If you are not an artist, learn to buy assets. If you are not a programmer, lean in on easier genres and engines. I use an engine called SRPG Studio. It's an engine made to make SRPG games. I know how to program, but I know I can save way more time using this engine. If you are more of a writer or artist, you would consider RPG Maker, Ren'Py, etc. Learn to be efficient with your tools out there and make your game. The overall game don't have to be perfect, but there should be something special about your game. That uniqueness is why people are playing your game. Alright guys, hopefully this was helpful. I'll see you guys next time. Hey, if you guys want to support the channel, make sure to wishlist Grey Heritage Noble Duty. It's part of the Grey Heritage series that I've made in SRPG Studio. If you guys want to play a released game, I also have Grey Heritage Faded Vision. Make sure to check those out. Links is in the description.